And good evening from New York. I'm Ali Velshi in for Chris Hayes. We're watching the continuing fallout from the aggressive anti-democratic power play by Republicans in the Tennessee State House. Now, tomorrow, a local board of commissioners in Memphis, which is in Shelby County, is expected to vote on whether to reinstate Justin Pearson, who's one of two black Democratic lawmakers expelled by Republicans over decorum violations stemming from a gun reform protest that they held at the state capitol after a mass school shooting in Tennessee. As we covered on this show, the other expelled lawmaker, Justin Jones, made his triumphant return to the state house yesterday after a local council in Nashville, county he's from, voted unanimously to return him to fill the vacancy left by his own expulsion. Now, this particular ploy by the legislature was so egregious, a Republican supermajority wielding its power to remove two democratically elected lawmakers on trivial charges, that it got national attention and backfired. A new poll out today shows that a majority of Tennessee residents think the expulsions were wrong. And Tennessee is a very Republican state. It doesn't have a single statewide elected Democrat. But because this scheme in Tennessee was so brazen, and because voters who care about democracy mobilized so quickly, it was able to become a national story practically overnight, even amid a very busy news cycle. And because that mobilization was so quick, Representative Justin Jones didn't even miss a day of work. He was expelled and reinstated over the course of one weekend. And while what happened in Tennessee is particularly notable, it's far from the only example of conservative legislatures working quietly to roll democracy back. Just ask Justin Jones.
This is a historic day for Tennessee, but it may mark a very dark day for Tennessee because it will signal to the nation that there is no democracy in this state. It will signal to the nation that if it can happen here in Tennessee, it's coming to your state next. And that is why the nation is watching us, what we do here.
There's no other way to put it. Authoritarianism is ascendant in the Republican Party, and state legislatures are leading that charge. In Montana, state Republicans are trying to change how the elections are run, but only for the 2024 Senate race. They're trying to switch that race in particular to a top two primary system, which would effectively block any third-party candidates from the ballot. It's all part of a scheme to defeat the popular incumbent Democratic Senator Jon Tester. Republicans think he benefits from the current system, which allows third-party candidates to siphon votes from their nominees. And Montana's taken quite a few steps recently to roll back Democratic norms. In 2021, the Republican state legislature tried to end statewide elections of Supreme Court justices and instead have those justices elected by district, which of course means the legislature could gerrymander the map in support of conservatives. The same year, they also successfully changed the state's voter ID law to ban the use of student IDs from Montana colleges, making it that much more difficult for young people to participate in local democracy. According to one Republican legislator, her party changed the rules because, quote, college students tend to be liberal, end quote. I love when they say the quiet parts out loud. In Wisconsin, Republicans are already threatening to impeach a liberal state Supreme Court justice who won last week by 11 points because they are worried that she will help overturn the state's abortion ban, as well as their draconian worst-in-the-nation gerrymander. Those partisan voting maps are, of course, in and of themselves inherently anti-democratic, while Wisconsin is essentially evenly split, 50-50 between the two parties in terms of voters. Republicans have been able to rig themselves a near-permanent supermajority in the state legislature. In North Carolina, Republicans managed to convince a Democrat in a blue district to switch parties so they can achieve a supermajority and override the two-term Democratic governor's veto power. And these are just a handful of examples. There are so many more. Maybe you know about some of these. Maybe you didn't. If you did, it may be because you live in one of those states that I've just talked about, or you heard or read about it in the national media. But some of these stories go underreported because local news has been on the decline for years, slowly bled to death by a lack of funding, or raided for parts by venture capitalists. A lot of this stuff just flies under the radar. We all know when Marjorie Taylor Greene or Matt Gaetz say something ridiculous and offensive because Capitol Hill is full of reporters. But what about when a Florida House Republican compares trans folks to mutants and demons like a representative named Webster Barnaby did just yesterday?
To all the folks that are in the audience that consider themselves gender dysphoria, cis. I don't know what all that means. I really don't know what all that means. I'm looking at society today, and it's like I'm watching an X-Men movie. It's like we have mutants living among us on planet Earth. The Lord rebuke you, Satan, and all of your demons and all of your imps who come and parade before us. That's right, I called you demons and imps.
That's some crazy stuff right there, but that kind of rhetoric is all over the place within these state Republican parties. Nearly every troubling trend in the creeping threat of right-wing authoritarianism in this country is spearheaded in Republican-led state houses. They get the least amount of attention, both from the media and from the voters. But the fight to save democracy will have to start at the state and local level. Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett is a Democrat of Texas who previously served as a state lawmaker in the Texas House. Ben Wickler is the chair of the Wisconsin Democratic Party. He played a major role in securing a victory for Democrats in that state's Supreme Court election last week. Both join me now. Thanks for being here. Congresswoman Crockett, good to see you. You're OG on this topic. You and your fellow Texas state representatives, when you were in the state House, had this kind of thing going on. You had to stage protests and activities within the confines of the legislature and the legislative system in order to stop what ended up being a first-in-the-nation abortion ban.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. And Ali, the only reason that you and I came to even know each other is because of that protest. You're right. I'm listening to you speak in your monologue, and I'm snapping and I'm saying, amen, brother, amen. Keep preaching, right? Because that's exactly what it's been. We could not get the coverage, not that we were necessarily looking for coverage, but we want to make sure that our constituents are informed. Most people didn't even have an idea of who their state representatives were. They could tell you who their senators were, who their Congress people were, but they couldn't tell you about the state reps. And they had no idea that when they were complaining about criminal justice issues, they really needed to be talking to us. They had no idea that an abortion ban was going to be coming down. They had no idea that, you know, what started off as a bathroom bill would then continue on and turn into anti-trans legislation. And they had no idea that the Republicans would be so desperate to bring about voter suppression in the state of Texas that we would flee the state and end up having warrants out for our arrest and really bring national attention to the issue.
And I guess that's the point of the exercise. I was talking to Reverend Al the other day, and he was saying, you know, people always say you're just doing it for the attention. And he says, yeah, that's kind of the point. We need to actually get attention on these issues, because when voters, Ben, start to learn about what's going on in your state, in Wisconsin, what you found is they actually did respond.
Absolutely. They're furious when they find out. But Republicans don't want them to find out. One of the stunning things about politics today is that when you just accurately describe what Republicans are trying to do in state houses in Wisconsin, across the country, voters initially think that it must be a lie, because they can't imagine that anyone would try to get away with a power grab so brazen and extreme. In Wisconsin, we had the Supreme Court race. There were millions of dollars of ads. Eventually, it sank in for folks that Republicans were trying to, on the one hand, rip away their reproductive freedom, and on the other hand, smash democracy so badly that voters would have no ability to fight back against it. Their only path for voters to take back control over their own bodies, over their democracy, was to win the Supreme Court race, and that's exactly what they did by a landslide. But frankly, if it hadn't been for this opportunity, we would have been stuck in a doom loop that could have lasted for decades.